Hey everyone, Josh Pyatt here. I'm joined today again by Shane Sullivan from LJ Hooker Drummoyne. Shane, thanks for joining me. So today I just want to get Shane's insight on what great vendor work is all about. Now to start off, I just want to, paint the picture that I'm going to pretend that I'm an owner and I've just signed up with you to sell my place. Now obviously that from the moment an owner signs to when it hits the market, there's obviously generally a 7 to 10 day gap. What sort of work do you do with your vendors from the moment they sign with you to the moment that the property actually hits the market?
Look, I think it's really important that, and look, it sounds really simple, but the marketing is everything from the marketing perspective is done without a hitch. Because I find that if you do mark up anything from that, like that first 7 days to do with the marketing, that can come back to sort of bite you later on.
Yeah.
And it can give owners an excuse as to why they don't want to listen to you,
yeah,
or you've kind of disrupted the relationship by not getting the signboard up on time,
yeah,
or the copy text was wrong. Make sure that you really nail all of that so it runs really smooth and seamlessly,
yeah,
for the first 7 to 10 days, which is really important.
Yeah.
I'm also having conversations with them about and preparing them that once we launch, we could get offers quite quickly.
Yeah.
And don't think just because, and I know everyone says it, but it's really important that just because we get offers early on doesn't mean that they're going to get better as time progresses.
Yeah.
That they're actually in a position to, accept the right offer at the right time.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of making sure that you do run somewhat of a campaign to, meet as many potential sellers as you can.
Sure.
Throughout those initial weeks, but also you've got a job to do in making sure that you secure the best price for the vendor. So it's I guess I'm having conversations as they're set up to sell from the moment go. So that if we do have the right offer come across, because in the market that we're in and that I'm in at the moment in particular, is that the buyers are missing out on so many properties that when they find the right one, they aren't hesitant about making it known and
Yeah.
about going hard for it.
Yeah.
So if it's the right money, I need to make sure my owners are set up, ready to go.
Yeah.
So if the right price does come in, I can do a deal.
So what you're saying is in that 7 to 10 days before it hits the market, that you're really getting, your owners and your vendors' mindset right.
That we're hitting the button and we're on.
So you're preparing them for, a really, really good outcome, or maybe an outcome that's probably not as good as it could be.
That's right. So obviously it's all about managing expectations. You're not going to really know exactly the extent of everything until you actually hit the market.
Yeah.
But I want them to make sure that, if we're not getting average to high numbers through our open homes in the very first week to two,
Yeah.
then our price guide is off.
Yeah.
And I have no hesitation in having a chat with them straight away.
Yeah.
And nipping that in the butt straight away.
Yeah.
Also vice versa is that if we have great interest and the money is right,
Yeah.
that we don't sort of hesitate on taking up a great offer at the time.
Yeah. Now moving on, I know a lot of agents that they, unfortunately, they don't classify great vendor work as highly important. My opinion is the better you service your vendors, the better referral business that you're going to create for yourself. What's your idea on that?
Look, I think a lot of agents do have the thought process that they've done their job, as in they've got the listing, it's signed, it's theirs for 90 days, and they've done all the hard work. The hard work has just started,
Yes.
So I'm a big fan and a big believer that you need to make sure that these owners know you're working as hard as you can for them. Obviously, great vendor communication is a big key of that. I don't know, I've heard you say before, Josh, that contacting your owner every day, to some might seem like an overkill, but you're silly if you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that you've got to call them every day.
Yeah.
I say to my clients, once they sign that agreement, we're new best friends.
Yeah.
We chat all the time,
Yeah.
and so they understand that I've done everything in my power
Yeah.
to get the best money, to get the marketing right, to get the
Yeah.
open homes right, so that when an offer comes in, I can turn around and confidently say that that's the money and that they should take it, and they'll listen to that advice.
Yeah. So obviously going back to the idea of great vendor work, I tell a lot of agents, I say, listen, even if you have no news at all, you need to call them and tell them that, because it's not every day that your average person is going to sell a home. Like the average might sell a home in their life 2 to 3 times. And so they're not really familiar, with the process. And because we do it every day, but that's why I'm a big believer that you've got to let your vendors know where you stand 100% of the way throughout that campaign.
And look, it's also knowing who your client is. If your client is the type of person that is a bit worried or wants to be contacted with an update all the time, you're crazy if you don't do it, because if they're calling you and they're that kind of person, you're not calling them enough, okay? I have a thing where I say that if the vendor's calling me, I'm in trouble, because they should never have to call me because I'm calling them all the time. You might have a client who says, and I do get them, Shane, I don't need to be updated every day, just give me a call once a week. And that comes down to personality type and where they're at. So just know who you're dealing with and who your client is.
Yeah, and I think that by contacting your vendors every day, you're not only giving them great service, you're also building great rapport and trust. So in the event that you do need to have those crucial conversations with them, maybe to reduce their expectations on price, or maybe to accept an offer that's probably not up to their level, if you are contacting them every day and you have that trust and rapport, then having those conversations, those crucial conversations with them, are going to be a lot easier.
Well, yeah, because I come across agents who get stuck where they get halfway through the campaign, the owner doesn't start listening, or they don't get what they want from the owner. I put them back on the agent itself by, the owner needs to understand you're doing everything possible, because if they don't feel like you're doing that, then why would they bother listening?
Exactly.
So you've from the get-go, that's why it's really important. Daily conversations.
100%.
About, as you said, no news. That's okay. Just letting you know there's no news to report on. I'll update you again tomorrow.
And that's a 30-second phone call.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So Shane, moving away from that, I'm sure over the years you've had some overpriced and unrealistic vendors. Just talk to me about how you manage that and I guess what you do in those situations.
So I was taught early on that the quicker that you can get comfortable at getting awkward, the better off you're going to be. So I have no hesitation in having a really awkward conversation if I know it's in the best way of my vendor, and if that is asking for a price reduction of 100,000 up to 300,000, it's something that you have to do, and you have to nip that in the butt straight away, because what most agents, or what I've seen, is that they're probably too afraid to have the honest and upfront conversation, which can be quite confronting. And then leave the price where it is for the 4 weeks, get there on auction day, no buyers turn up, it's a disaster, and the owner looks at the agent and goes, what happened? Okay, I'd rather, so what I do, I track everything throughout my campaign. If I see that my numbers are off, even as early as week 1, I call a vendor meeting, I sit down face to face and realign where the vendor's expectations need to be, and use the basis of, look, we've gone to the market for the first week, this is where the feedback's been, it's not in line with what you originally were hoping for, we need to make some very important decisions now that's going to impact on the campaign later on. And if you don't if you don't act at that certain point, it's just going to be a waste of a campaign.
So, okay, so what do you do if the owner says to you, but Shane, you told us that the property is worth this much, or you said that you can get us this much, but obviously your buyers are talking less than what obviously you and the owner agreed on. What do you do in that situation?
So I guess my initial conversations, I explained that there's 3 different prices. You've got your owner's price, and that sort of comes about whether in terms of what they want versus what they need to be able to make that move. You've got the agent's price, which is based on comparable sales and what's been happening within the market. And you've got the buyer price. And what I do then tend to go back on is that at the end of the day, like I said from the start, whether we like it or not, the buyers do dictate this market. That's 100% exactly what happens. So I guess it's just making them realise that we've had the opportunity to try and get that price you were trying to achieve, but if a sale is what you really want, this is what you need to listen to. And it's obviously doing it in a really respectful way, but then I would probably go back on more of the why, like why they were wanting to go on the market, why are they selling, and is it to get from A to B, and that's a really big reason for them, then maybe pushing back on those motivations.
Okay, so you spoke about the why. Like, I mean, a lot of agents sort of don't get into that mentality of, why is my client selling? Why do they want to move on with their lives? But I think that, to understand a vendor's, I guess, mindset or their reason for doing something, I think that a great agent always understands the why. Well, I guess just talk to me a little bit about, and I know that's something you're really big on, just talk to me about that and I guess your idea of and the importance you place on the why.
Yeah, look, it's the major motivator of what you're going to spend the next 6 to 8 weeks in doing. They don't want to do this. They're not doing this for fun. They're not doing this for practice. There's obviously an underlying big reason of motivation of why they're going through this process. And I think that starts at the listing appointment, and I think it starts with asking a lot of really good quality questions. It's not just about, okay, what price do you want? Great, I can do that for you. Sign up the agency agreement and move on and get a listing. I want to be able to get these, help these owners get from A to B, but also deal with motivated people, so that when it comes to giving good advice, that they listen. So it all starts with asking great quality questions, all about why, when, how they want to get there,
Yeah.
and just really digging really deep and stripping everything back so I understand completely what that motivation is.
Yeah. So we spoke earlier about that you contact your vendors every single day via telephone.
Yep.
How often do you meet with them face to face, and what do you talk about at those face to face meetings?
So we do a vendor meeting every week.
Yep.
Then there also might be another sort of, if I've got the time to hang around after an open house, even if it's for 5 minutes,
Yep.
I'll definitely do that as well. Just
Yep.
another touch point
Sure.
throughout the campaign. So yeah, we're chatting, and sometimes we're chatting twice a day.
Yep.
I know, look, some people might think, well, twice a day, what are you talking about? There's always plenty to be talking about. When you've got offers coming in, you've got buyer comments, inquiry levels, there's lots to be talking about, and don't think you're overkilling it, because the owners are about to spend a lot of money with you, with what you're going to go and do for them. So they want to see where the service is coming from, and they want to know that their money's well spent. So yeah, it's twice daily conversations. Definitely a formal meeting once a week, and then maybe a catch up after the open house.
Yeah, great. So just in summary, what's one piece of advice that you can give anybody when it comes to great vendor work and servicing?
And I'll go back to getting really comfortable with being awkward. It is something that you really need to nail, and you really need to learn how to do that, because the more comfortable you feel about delivering straight, honest opinions, the sooner you're going to get your owners aligned to where they need to be, and then you can start moving more stock.
Yeah, great. All right, Shane, thanks for joining me today.
Appreciate it.
So there you have it. There's Shane's insight onto great vendor work and servicing. I hope you've taken a couple of tips out of his opinions, and I'll see you again this time next month.